Hi everyone, my name is Simon O'Brien and welcome to my new edition of Who Will Win series. It's going to be Rodan and Mothra from the Godzilla series. Now, for this matchup, I'm going to focus on the base stats for both Mothra and Rodan, and I'll also focus on their abilities and by Rodan as well. And as for Mothra, I'll only focus on her adult form here because this is basically her main combat form in terms of fighting other kaiju, so there's that. And finally, who I personally think is going to win. So, let's get started. Now, for strength, or let's start with Rodan. For strength, Rodan is very strong. He can actually lift Godzilla up into the air and drop him on top of a power pylon. And mind you, this is the same fight that Godzilla and Rodan were fighting for about 24 hours straight, like a full day. So, yeah, that is actually a very, very impressive strength feat, considering that Godzilla is one of the heaviest kaiju in Godzilla. He can also lift a large boulder and then manage to hit King Ghidorah and manage to stun him, which is very impressive. And he can also ram into other kaiju, or sometimes it actually results in Rodan getting stunned himself from the impact, but still, he has the sheer power to actually knock down kaiju, so there. That's really impressive indeed. Now, for speed, Rodan's speed is his best stat here. He goes to Mark 1 to Mark 3 speeds, I believe, and he also creates these sonic booms. Now, these sonic booms are very powerful. What happens is that when Rodan flies on top of a city, that city will feel the force of like hurricane-level winds, and it will eventually be leveled and all that. And these sonic booms are actually very powerful in their own against kaiju. Like, at one time, Rodan did this to Godzilla while in water, and the sonic booms created explosions in the water while they were fighting. Yeah, really impressive stuff, actually. And Rodan can actually dodge energy-based attacks from Godzilla and King Ghidorah and Mechagodzilla. So there's that. He can also dodge military firepower easily and all that. So there's that. He can do battle rolls as well, so that's really cool. And he at one time went from New York City to Mount Fuji in a very short time span. So yeah, that is actually a very good speed feat for Rodan here. So there's that. That basically puts him at like massively hypersonic speeds. So yeah, really impressive. Really impressive. Now, for durability, Rodan is actually a very tough kaiju. He's not even close to Godzilla's durability, but he does have a lot of great durability feats regardless. He has tanked energy blasts from Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, and King Ghidorah. He's virtually indestructible to military firepower. He at one time was wrestling Godzilla, and Godzilla was choking Rodan. That forced Rodan to cough out blood, and Rodan eventually kept fighting, even took an atomic ray from Godzilla. And Rodan basically felled it, but he still kept flying and all that. So that is really impressive, considering that the atomic ray is able to one-shot a lot of kaiju. So yeah, very impressive stuff. And Rodan has also got a tail swipe on Godzilla, which is a really impressive durability feat there, considering that the tail swipe is like whacks other kaiju with like a ragdoll and all that. So yeah, very, very impressive Rodan is in the stats department. Now, let's go for abilities. Now, Rodan's signature ability is the pecking. What he does is just use his beak to peck his opponent, and these pecks are strong enough to actually destroy large boulders and even do a lot of damage to Godzilla and Mechagodzilla. And yeah, the pecking is very basic, but it's still a powerful ability. He can also create gusts of gale force winds, and he can even exhale them and create this like wind blast from his mouth, which he only had used it once, but it is still worth mentioning because it's a pretty cool ability. And when Rodan goes into Fire Rodan, after he is defeated by Godzilla, he returned to battle as Fire Rodan. He basically can use a uranium heat ray, which is basically exactly like Godzilla's atomic ray, and yeah, it's a very powerful ability, capable of casually destroying buildings and knock down kaiju. And he can also use life absorption, which makes Rodan self-heal himself by consuming birds and creatures and all that. So, smaller animals, that is. So there's that. Which which helps Rodan, like, gives him a minor form of regeneration. So yeah, he just absorbs their life force and all that, which is really, really handy in this fight. So there's that. So Rodan is actually a very powerful kaiju on his own. Well, not quite as powerful as Godzilla. He still has a lot of feats and all that, like helping out Godzilla and Mothra defeat King Ghidorah, and also allow to sacrifice himself to make Godzilla stronger. So basically, Rodan is like a support kaiju, but alone he is still packs a punch. So there's that. So let's go to Mothra. Now, Mothra is a very, very powerful kaiju. Possibly one of the most powerful kaiju in existence. So she was worshipped by Infant Island as a god and a protector, and she regularly has to save her twin fairies from harm, like Godzilla and Mothra. So there's that. So there's a bit of backstory for Mothra. Now, let's go into Mothra's base stats. Now, for strength, Mothra is really strong, despite her appearance as being a giant moth. She can actually create sonic booms like Rodan, although not to the extent of Rodan's sonic booms, but she can actually destroy cities with just little flapping of her wings, like very little effort. So there's that. So still very powerful. She can also lift Godzilla up across the city district. I believe it was Tokyo or Osaka, and she was lifting Godzilla up and basically going at full speed at one time. And yeah, it is still worth mentioning here because this is the time when Godzilla is actually heavier than he was in the older days. So yeah, I believe it was 60,000 tons at that time, but I think, or maybe less, or yeah, I don't know. But there's that. But then we also have Mothra dragging Godzilla's tail, so she can protect her egg and all that, which is really impressive. And she can also ram into Godzilla and knock him down without getting stunned. And it's basically what she can also scale to battle, who does the same thing as well. So there's that. And yeah, Mothra is a very strong combatant here. So as for speed, Mothra's speed is amazing. She can go to Mark 1 to Mark 5 speeds, which is really impressive. She can also fly around space with her twin fairies, and yeah, that puts her at FDL speeds. So there's that. She can also dodge Godzilla's atomic ray on a regular basis and all that, and she can also dodge Megagyros' attacks and all that. And at one time, she can actually scale to Megagyros in terms of speed and combat speed, because they were evenly matched in that fight. But I'd say Mothra was still slightly faster than Megagyros because she speed blitzed Megagyros in the end. And Megagyros, mind you, is actually a kaiju that can create after images and blurs during combat. But Mothra eventually surpassed that. So yeah, very, very impressive speed feat there. And also another thing about Megagyros, more Megagyros, she is fast enough to make Godzilla basically go on the loop for a couple minutes. Yeah, mind you that Godzilla can tag a lot of enemies, but he had a lot of trouble with Megagyros. So yeah, so Mothra scaling above Megagyros is really, really impressive in this fight. So there's that. And yeah, basically she can dodge military firepower and all that. And yeah, so yeah, Mothra is a very fast kaiju. Now let's go to durability. Now, Mothra's durability is legendary. She has tanked Godzilla's atomic rays and the red spiral ray. Now, the red spiral ray from Godzilla can actually one-shot kaiju, and Mothra actually survived it, so that alone puts her in a very high durability level. So there's that. And she can also become... She's basically indestructible to military firepower. She has tanked King Ghidorah's lightning-based attacks and all that, and she can also basically get her wings clipped by Godzilla, but eventually kept flying and continue fighting. And what's interesting here is that this is the same fight when they were having Destroyer involved, and Mothra was helping Godzilla fight Destroyer and all that in the end. So yeah, they formed an alliance during mid-fight. So yeah, that's pretty cool stuff actually. So Mothra's durability is legendary, like I said before. So there's that, and she can also tank a lot of melee attacks and all that. She took a tail swipe from Godzilla and basically got back up after a while. So yeah, Very, very impressive, actually, Mothra is in terms of stats. Now, let's go into abilities. Now, for abilities, Mothra's signature ability is Silk Webbing. Now, this Silk Webbing is very, very powerful. It doesn't really damage the opponent, but all it does is immobilize them and slows them down for a bit, so giving Mothra like an opportunity to finish them off, or actually make Godzilla fall into the ocean. Although this was not Mothra that did that feat, it was actually her twin babies after when Mothra passed away in the same movie, but still really, that's worth mentioning to see how powerful the Silk Webbing is. Then we have her beam attacks, which she emits from her antenna, basically like Rodan and Godzilla's atomic blasts. Basically, they are very powerful, although these beam attacks from Mothra can actually knock down Godzilla on his knees. Yeah, very, very impressive stuff the beam attacks can do, actually. And she can also use a kamikaze attack, like when she is set on fire, she goes into suicidal mode and then destroys herself and the opponent. It makes a huge explosion. So yeah, very powerful, although it will kill Mothra, always kills Mothra though, so there's that. Well, that has to be worth mentioning here. She can also make paralytical spores, I believe, or cause paralysis. And Mothra sheds her scales and try and paralyze her opponent. Although it is a very risky maneuver because what happens here is that Mothra sheds her scales, so she wouldn't be able to fly and it'll weaken herself over time. So there's that. But the effects are actually questionable here because she did it on Godzilla, but Godzilla didn't really feel anything afterwards, so yeah, it didn't really do much to Godzilla, so it's kind of like a useless ability here. So I'm not sure if it works on other kaiju though, but yeah, that's just an ability worth mentioning. But by far, Mothra's most powerful ability is her reflective mirror field. Now, this reflective mirror field is very powerful. What it does is that Mothra creates this reflective mirror field around her and the opponent. And when the opponent tries to attack Mothra with an energy-based attack, the energy-based attack eventually rebounds away from Mothra and then redirects it back to the attacker. Now, Mothra did this to Godzilla, and Godzilla used the atomic breath, right? And the atomic breath ray actually touched Mothra but didn't do anything to her, and then it just rebounded back at Godzilla, knocking him down completely. That ability is really powerful. It's possibly one of the most powerful abilities in the Godzilla universe. And yeah, this did a lot of damage to Godzilla, so yeah. Mothra is a very powerful kaiju. I think you got the idea that she's very powerful. Other abilities that Mothra has is like psychic abilities and all that, and she can make, I believe it's like sonic attacks as well for her mind, and makes her kaiju get annoyed easily, but she can also communicate with humans and all that, so yeah, that's really cool. And she's also, aside from abilities, she's also very experienced. Like, she has a lot of feats and all that. She is one of the most popular kaiju in Godzilla series and all that. And she also is a very, very smart kaiju. She actually thinks on the fly. She can actually force kaiju to team up against the greater threat, and like she did with Godzilla and Rodan to face King Ghidorah. So yeah, Mothra's a very, very smart kaiju, actually. So there's that. So, Mothra is basically a legendary character. She has done a lot over the course of her fictional lifetime. Basically, the second most popular kaiju behind Godzilla, but yeah, there's that. So, with Rodan and Mothra set, who I personally think is going to win. Now, I gotta be honest here, this is a very, very close fight. In terms of stats, this is a very, very close, although I say in the strength department it's almost evenly matched, except I think Mothra is more stronger than Rodan because she has lifted Godzilla, who is actually heavier than the time when Rodan lifted Godzilla, because that version of Godzilla is lighter than the one that Mothra lifted, so there's that. So basically, Rodan's lifting feat is basically matched by, or even exceeded by, Mothra's lifting feat with Godzilla. So there you go. And with the ramming stuff, when Rodan rams against his opponents, he'll get stunned. But when Mothra does it, she doesn't get stunned. So that's a huge difference there. So yeah, strength goes to Mothra. Now for speed, this speed is actually still close, although Mothra still beats out Rodan in terms of speed because of her FTL speed in space. But although Rodan can counteract that with his sonic booms that can actually keep Mothra at bay, like take her off course for a bit. But still, Mothra's FTL speed is pretty impressive. And also, the Mecha Gyro scaling puts her in a higher speed gap there, too. So, yeah. So, speed goes to Mothra in a slight edge. And then finally, we get into durability. With durability, it's very close, but I say Mothra still edges out Rodan here because she tanked the red spiral ray from Godzilla. And, whereas Rodan has done a lot of durability feats, although Mothra has more feats for durability. So there's that. So another thing here is that Mothra has more feats overall, like all around. She also has more experience than Rodan because she has appeared in more movies and all that. And I think Rodan and Mothra are around the same age. It's just that Mothra has done more stuff, basically. So there's that. And then finally, for abilities here, this is very close as well. Both of them have very devastating abilities, but I had to say that Mothra edges out Rodan here because while Rodan's life absorption as Fire Rodan is very impressive, and he has a really powerful uranium heat ray, I'd say that Mothra's more versatile with her abilities. Although some of them will result in Mothra killing herself if she's not careful, she does have enough firepower to match or even exceed Rodan here. So, she has the beam attack, like Rodan's uranium heat ray, although she doesn't need to be in a super form like Rodan, Fire Rodan or anything like that. So, yeah, she can use it anywhere she wanted. She also has the silk that can immobilize Rodan here. And, she can also use Gale Force winds, like with her wings, like what Rodan does, although she has to be stationary, whereas Rodan can fly. So, I possibly could say that Rodan has better sonic booms than Mothra, because he can just do it on the fly, whereas Mothra has to do it like being stationary and all that. Although she has done it while flying, just not as fast as Rodan when she does it. And then finally, in terms of melee attacks, okay, I think Rodan has more melee attacks than Mothra because he can use pecking and the chest spikes that he has, and yeah, it's still really cool. And he also has the wing slash as well, like Mothra. They both have wing slashes. They both have very similar abilities. It's just that the scope of their powers for each ability is different here. So there's that. So Mothra edged out Rodan in terms of stats and abilities and experience and feats. And which is, I personally say that Mothra will win this fight because she's just done more feats than Rodan, but it's a very close fight though, so there's that. Another thing about this fight is that when I had to put Mothra in her adult form, it's interesting here because Rodan and Mothra have fought, but it was when Mothra was in her larvae form, but I just wanted to make this video to make it like a Mothra in her adult form versus Rodan and Fire Rodan. It's just like a cool concept, that's all. So there's that. So, in my opinion, the winner is Mothra. So thank you guys for watching this video. I really enjoyed this matchup. It is one of my favorite matchups today, actually. This is like a childhood dream matchup of mine. I mean, like I said before, Mothra and Rodan have fought, although it's just that Mothra was never in her adult form at the time. So I just thought it was a really cool idea to have Mothra in her adult form facing Rodan and Fire Rodan. It's just like it's actually my favorite kaiju matchup to date. So I mean, Rodan and Mothra are two cornerstones of my childhood. I love pterosaurs and I love moths as well. And I just think, in my honest opinion, I had to say that Rodan is cooler than Mothra, although Mothra is more adorable and cuter and more beautiful. So there's that. So, as for next time, it's going to be Waishni from Ruby versus Esdeath from Akame ga Kill. Now, this is the season finale by Who Will Win series, but I gotta be honest here. For first thoughts, I honestly don't think it's a close fight, but it is a very cool fight to behold, no pun intended, because they both use ice. And but yeah, it will be my season finale for Who Will Win series, because after that I'm gonna do some more blogs and gonna take a break from the series for a moment and all that. So yeah, there's that. So anyways guys, thank you very much for watching this video.